I'm going out, I gotta go. I'll bang-a-rang on the radio. So turn it up, I'm telling you. I think I'm ready for something new. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza.
You're listening to Pop Punkin' Pizza with Jacques LaMore.
So it's great to have you here, as always. Thank you so much for downloading the podcast. Today, you and I are going to have pizza with a couple that maybe you requested. I know I've actually talked to quite a few listeners over the last couple of years, or maybe even more, that are like, oh, you should totally get this couple on the podcast. And it just finally worked out that today is the day for that. So let's give a big, warm welcome to Kelly and Luis from the Dollyrots. Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
Round of applause. Yeah.
Round of applause and everything.
Right on. Yeah, we're happy to be here.
I'm happy that this is working out because you guys are actually making me feel better because I get to see the Florida sunshine through.
Yeah.
Palm trees.
Yeah.
Yes. It's
we're in
making me
Tampa.
feel better because all day today I've had one of those days where you just, if you're one of those people that struggles with when the weather is crappy and you just kind of feel crappy along with it. And
that's why we only live in places with palm trees.
Right? I was going to say, from Texas to Florida to wherever in between you've lived.
Yeah, California.
California. So it's great. It's just like, I feel blessed. I feel very grateful today to be able to have you guys on. And I'm glad it worked out this way because, we were originally trying to do something when you guys were coming through Chicago. You played Reggie's recently, but I feel like this is better because I get this, I at least get a little bit of taste of the sunshine. So
Awesome.
Yeah, it was snowing the day we were at Reggie's.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it would have been more of the same.
It was the first day of tour, and that's always really hectic. So
yeah, we were like, does anyone remember how to do this?
yeah, so this is much more relaxed for us.
Yeah, and it worked out for everyone. I know we were actually just talking about that before we started recording about you brought your kids with you on your most recent Midwest tour in America, and was that the first time you had brought your kids out on the road, or is that something you normally do now?
They've come on
since they were
90%.
I think River's first tour, he was 6 weeks old.
Oh,
and it was
really?
with Black Flag in Southern California.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, River's 8 now. He's been touring with us since he was a baby.
Yeah.
And so our protocol every tour, when we can bring them, when it makes sense, is to have a tour nanny, and they come on the road, and at this point they're getting up on stage with us, and we
had to have a family jam this trip. They both would come on stage every night. Last night our drummer, his wife and baby Hank, he's a year and a half.
Yeah, we
had all 3 kids on stage
we had
the last night.
3 kids on stage for a jam.
Yeah.
So it's a little Partridge Family. It's becoming a little like that.
I love it. So what do you guys jam to? Is there a certain song that you have set aside that everyone kind of plays, or is it just kind of
Yeah, we
made it up on stage in Dallas.
We made it up on stage one time, and then it's kind of developed as it's gone. And originally, it was a matter of getting River on stage to play guitar, and it's really get him to play guitar. Yeah. Hold down that fret and
he's 8
and play. And he's got a good strumming hand. So the song is called "Oh River" because his name's River.
Of course.
And it's kind of like a Back to the Future 1, 4, 5. Stick with me for the breaks, sort of thing. It's a
very simple song. You tune his guitar like Sonic Youth style, so he just kind of right hands it.
Yeah.
We play around it.
Yeah. So, but every night it's different. There's no we're not theatrical. Every show's a little bit different. The banter's always different, and the jam's always a little different. But it's fun. It gets people moving. So,
well, that kind of leaves room for experiments and things to happen. Where maybe one night you do something you've never done before, and you're like, oh, let's make that a thing. You know,
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
Yeah.
kind of. I guess, and that's probably how the jam night thing was
That is
born
how this
anyway,
happened.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Most of our show is like an accident that was waiting to happen.
and
Our
sometimes,
life.
and,
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's life, right?
Yep.
So before we get too deep into it, let's talk about pizza. You guys are, as you said, you're in Florida.
Yep.
And you got one of your favorite pizza places to
Yeah.
open up early just for you
Yeah.
guys?
Yep. It's a place called Lee's Grocery. It's in Tampa. It's like right down the street from where we live. And
There we go.
check it out. That's a sweet hand-drawn
Oh, nice.
graffiti-style menu.
And their menu, pretty amazing. We have the Minor Threat in front of us right now.
Yeah, it's like
It is a rock and roll kind of place.
it's like a pesto jalapeno, like all the
Ooh.
yummy mushroom,
pesto,
like
jalapeno, spinach.
it's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's
This building is from, what did you say? It's from 1884. It's on the National Historic Landmark Registry. It's a really cool old neighborhood that we live in. It's Old Tampa.
yeah, it's
Okay.
like
It's called Tampa Heights.
this neighborhood used to be. I mean, most of the houses around here from like 1926, which doesn't sound very old in the context of Chicago,
Yeah, but for
Well,
Florida, that's
but
old.
for Florida, that's ancient.
It still it's still ancient to me that it's almost 100 years old. But yes, as far as
Yeah.
Chicago
Yeah.
goes, obviously there was the Great Chicago Fire that wiped out.
This is true.
Yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
there's a reset button.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But that's really cool though. So what are some of the other names of like some of the other names?
So-
You said Minor Threat. So is there?
Yeah, so there's the Don't Stand So Close to Me. I also really love, and I think it might be named that because it has a lot of garlic,
Oh,
which
okay.
makes it delicious.
It makes it delicious and stinky.
Yeah,
So-
there's
so-
the Message, Hanging Garden. It's all rock and roll.
Oh, there's one called
references.
Bring the Noise,
Uh-huh.
and I think that's just like all of the meats.
Everything. Yeah.
That would I was gonna say. I bet that's a meat pizza.
Yeah.
There should have been like a Dollyrot special pizza or like.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe
we
like to
should
go
lobby
with
for that.
yeah, or like to go with the latest release Down the Rabbit Hole. I'm trying to think of
Oh yeah.
what-
It could be lots
so-
of vegetables because bunnies love vegetables.
I was just thinking that Down the Rabbit Hole would be the veggie pizza for
Just
all the
sprinkle some
vegetarians.
carrots on top.
Yeah.
Definitely mushrooms. There are mushrooms on the cover. Be
Oh,
mushroom
that's
pizza.
right. Yeah, the Alice in
Yeah.
Wonderland psychedelic mushroom theme.
Do you like so what do you typically you got the Minor Threat pizza which has you said pesto and
Mushrooms, spinach, a couple different kinds of mushrooms,
I think
and
it's
fresh
got-
jalapenos.
And feta and mozzarella.
mozzarella.
So it's got the
It's
double
not a red sauce pizza.
cheese alternative.
Yeah.
oh okay
I'll-
so there's no like the marinara sauce or
Yeah,
Yeah.
the pesto
the regular
sauce
kind of
instead.
pizza sauce. Okay.
Although we do love us some marinara.
Oh,
But this is just kind of the
It's its own
alchemy.
thing.
The alchemy of this one is just so perfect. Like
Sure.
as its own entity that it's worth getting.
Yeah. Well, I'm still I'm lobbying for the Dollyrot pizza down the rabbit
Start a
hole.
Twitter
Yeah.
campaign.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's and get
Do
it
a change.org.
right. We'll get
Change.org.
it. We
Yeah.
could probably change, and we could get like the city of Tampa in on it because does
Yeah.
anyone really have a reason to go to Tampa? I mean, most everyone goes to Orlando.
You
I
know,
mean-
Oh,
you know what's crazy about this town is we, the band kind of came up in LA. We moved out to California when we were really young. We were basically
21.
children.
Yeah.
To do the band, and we lived out there for 12 years. And finally, when we had River, our first kid, it was like, all right, well, let's try and buy a house in Tampa because it's pretty inexpensive. We'll be close to the parents, whatever. And so we did that. And then we kind of like relocated to Tampa, spend most of our time here. The band is still like the band biz is in LA, but family life is in Tampa. Man, in that time, this city has grown so much. Now,
it's strange, though.
you can't
It's
even
crazy.
find a house
We
here.
have to make reservations to go places sometimes.
Like there's
Really?
like traffic jams here. You know,
It's different.
it's
But also, city of Tampa is beautifully diverse. There's like such a, it really is a bright spot and a state otherwise a little questionable.
Right. We all know the reputation that Florida lends to itself.
Gay.
Yeah. So yeah, we're in like the bluest blue pearl of the whole like
tiny little sapphire gem.
But we really love it here, and it's a great place to live. And don't tell anybody because we don't want anyone else to.
I was going to say you don't need any. You don't need any more people. Do you think that has anything to do with Tampa Bay Lightning? Because didn't they win?
Oh man, they are amazing.
Oh yeah, no, dude, there was like the
they won a Stanley
Cup,
Cup,
went to the World Series. The hockey team won the Stanley Cup, and then
And
Tom Brady
football
came
won.
here.
Yeah.
And then they started calling it Champa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
Because it was baseball,
I love that.
hockey, and
It's like
football in
every
one year.
major sport is successful here all of a sudden after 30 years of failure.
That's called the money.
And the Dollyrots live there as
Of
well.
course.
Well, actually, it all started when we moved back here.
I was going to say, you set the bar for Champa Bay.
That's basically what happened, I guess. I mean, in some world.
Where's your commission check? You know,
Yeah, come on.
that's what I want to know. Change.org.
I want my agent's fee.
Yes, please. Oh my gosh. Well, it's fun to have both of you here. And you just finished up the kind of the Midwest tour. And you're back home in Florida. You're pushing, as we mentioned, down the rabbit hole, which is like a collection of songs that didn't make it on any of your previous records. And also, I was so excited when I read, so the second disc is all covers, right?
Yeah.
And I had the biggest smile on my face when I saw the songs that were covered. I'm like, all of these songs are songs that I love. And of course, it's so fitting that you have High School Never Ends on there. You're good friends with Bowling for Soup.
Yep.
So it was cool to see that on there. But, like Earth Angel, who doesn't love it? You mentioned Back to the Future earlier.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's right.
it's such
his hand comes back.
Yes, the hand. Yeah. He's like, oh no, my hand's disappearing. I always thought that scene was so cheesy when Michael J. Fox is like leaning over and he's like, I'm dying. It's just like disappearing
like
and
the 80s pre-CGI like invisible hand.
it lends to you to think though. At least it does in my mind when I watch those old movies. I'm always thinking, how did they do that without CGI?
Yeah.
I want to see how they did that.
Yeah, that's a lost art form. It's like analog CGI.
Which, we try to show our kids some old movies sometimes, and I'm like, man, this must look so stupid to them.
Well, it's just the pacing.
They're a little slower.
There's a patient pacing to that era of movies, and I guess music too. I mean, any sort of like content from that time that we kind of grew up with, and we can appreciate. But put that in front of like anyone under the age of 20, and they're just like, what?
Yeah.
This is boring.
Right. And I'm sure it was the same thing when we were kids, our parents showing us movies from when they were kids or even before that. Yeah. And we're it's like Jaws, for instance. You're watching Jaws and you're like, is that shark even real?
Pet Cemetery might be the best.
I haven't seen that one in a while.
Oh my gosh.
I've never seen it.
Oh, you guys!
No,
Really?
I've never seen it.
Wait, hold on, Kelly. You're doing one of those like, oh my god, I can't believe you haven't seen the
Have
movie.
you seen the video for the song Pet Cemetery? At least the Ramones video.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what the movie is like in the scary parts.
Okay.
So
I have seen that music video.
The scariest part about it is the Ramones in 1986.
I mean, they were kind of intimidating looking. I'm not gonna
snare
lie.
Sound. It's like the 80s snare sound.
And right, as musicians, or even being like Luis yourself, being a producer as well, hearing that snare sound, you're probably thinking, God, that's awful.
It's hard. And, like you'll hear it, and it's like the reverb sounds like it was recorded in like Oscar the Grouch's trash can. It's just all like metallic.
It probably
and terrible.
was.
Like his actual trash
They both live in New York, or they were both from New York. So
that's true. He just sang into the trash can.
That's exactly what happened.
It's when music becomes self-aware. It's hard to deal with,
Absolutely. So I have pizza on my end from a place that is right down the street from my house. It's called the Chicago Dough Company.
Nice.
And it's a small chain in the Chicagoland area. They've got 3 locations. And I know if we would have done this in person when you were at Reggie's in Chicago, I probably would have gotten you Lou Malnati's. And I would imagine at some point you've had Lou Malnati's.
It sounds familiar. Pizza is unavoidable on tour. That's kind of like what happens. But
I mean, a lot of nights you end up with pizza.
You end up with pizza because the pizza joints are open later. Also, the venues know that basically everybody likes pizza, so it's safe to be like, hey, if we
especially if you got like vegetarians and vegans in the bunch.
Yeah,
so
if you guys got something you like, let us know. You want veggie, whatever. And so it's like you get pizza every other night. Yeah. And for some reason, on this last
tour, it's because this didn't happen the first night.
We didn't get any pizza.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
like looking back on it, the only pizza we would have had would have been with you on the first night.
Oh,
and on no Dollyrots tour in the history of Dollyrots touring, 20 years,
first
have
time
we ever
ever.
not had
Yeah.
I feel like this is all my fault. I totally feel like this is my fault.
It's the pizza curse of 2022.
What's so odd is, so when I originally had reached out about setting up that interview with you both, my day job, which is at a radio station, was my schedule was a little different, and it was literally like the week after, or maybe 2 weeks after, but I think it was a week after that my schedule changed, and it would have actually worked out if it would have been like a week later, because I used to work in the afternoons at the radio station, and I knew that was probably when we were going to sit down.
Yeah, we didn't sound check.
Yeah, and so that's why I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to be able to make it. I completely forgot about my work schedule. And then, like I said, it changed the next week to where, like, yeah, we're moving you off this shift and we're going to have you do something else. So it was funny how that, I'm like, damn, like, if that would have been a week later, that would have worked out. But
we'll just have to do it the next time.
You just got to roll with the punches. Yeah, and the next time, at least we're guaranteed pizza on a tour.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It'll start like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you guys haven't already, please dig into your pizza. By all means.
Oh,
I don't want to stop, because I want to see. I want to see this pizza. I want to see what it looks like.
Okay, so
all right.
I mean, it is not red. There's not a hint of red on it.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah.
It's completely.
I feel like I need like a hair tie.
It's got a.
It's got the fresh spinach on it, right?
So you can see there's like fresh spinach.
I'm going.
The dual cheese layers. So you can kind of like see the hints of the feta
Oh
in
my
there.
gosh!
And then the shrooms. The shrooms are fresh.
This is what mine looks like. It's not as fancy as yours, but that's what mine looks like. I got
the jalapenos are so spicy.
Dude, the jalapenos, I got there's jalapeno seeds. Jalapeno seeds.
Man.
So that's where the heat comes from.
I was going to say, my mouth would be on fire right now if I was eating that. We
love spicy stuff, though. If there weren't jalapenos, we'd be putting hot sauce on it, probably.
What kind of beer are you drinking?
Oh, so we got 2 local beers. And then we're sharing this one. I had a sour. I got a Bay Cannon lemongrass sour, which was really good. And you had the Juice Lord IPA, which is Magnanimous Brewing. Tampa has a blossoming.
It's gone now.
Yeah, beer culture. There are tons of breweries all over the place. There's one like right across from our house.
Uh-huh.
Woven Water. They make really good
It's
sours.
all really
I love
delicious.
sours.
Cigar City's based here.
Yeah, Cigar City. You could get pretty much anywhere now.
Yeah. But don't move to Tampa. It's terrible.
Don't move.
Yeah, don't do it ever.
This was the sour.
Yeah. Only the Dollyrots like it, and nobody else. Everyone else thinks
no.
it sucks. So
Why would you like
Hates
what?
it here.
Why would you like what we like?
yeah, absolutely. Just don't do it whatsoever. So I should say, if I remember correctly, the other day I saw both of you were celebrating. Is it not your wedding anniversary, but a date anniversary? Date anniversary?
No.
So our 21st wedding anniversary is Thursday, March 31st.
Dude,
That's tomorrow for
We
us.
basically
I'm not sure
got
what day
married
it
when
is.
we were children.
Yeah.
I don't even know why our parents thought it was okay.
But they didn't
like,
really.
I mean,
Well, they probably did the
it's
same
like-
thing, right? I mean, I know my parents were 19 and 20.
yeah.
That's
they
true.
were
My
married.
mom was 19, and
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
dad.
my mom's 20.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was something like that. So yes, you're right. Previous generation, how could they criticize us when we're doing what they were doing?
We had been together since the very end of high school. We went to college together.
Yeah.
College.
Yeah.
I mean, we were doing all the right things too. We both got degrees. I have a very useful biology degree.
Before we threw it all away and
Then we
moved to
threw it all away
California to
for
be
rock
in a
and roll.
punk band.
Got married. Yeah, we got married. I think 2 weeks later. Or no, we had our thesis defense.
Mhm.
Got married. 2 weeks later, graduated. Then the end of that summer, we were like, oh, forget it. Then the election, November of 2001.
2000.
2000.
Oh,
Yeah.
the famous Bush and Gore
And Al Gore
election.
lost. And
Yes.
it was probably our school's fault because everyone voted for Nader. And there are 800 students in our school
Yes,
in
Nader.
Sarasota County.
Gore only lost by like 500 votes, and those 500 votes definitely came from New College of South Florida, the liberal college, that everyone voted for Nader.
I didn't. I voted for Gore.
Anyway, so we were just like, Kelly skipped her GRE
I was supposed
exam,
to have GRE exam the next morning after
And then-
the election. I was like, nope.
and then I was on like, I was doing
I'm
like,
never going to do it.
yeah, I was on the med school thing, so I'd already taken the MCAT, and like, whatever, we both decided to just move to California and make music for at least a year and see, like, it was kind of, you know how in Australia they go on their walkabout?
For a gap year.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, there's a tradition in other places of the world where once you start to come into adulthood, you take a year off and go
Think about it.
explore and sow your wild oats or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know. And so we decided to move to LA.
And got
And
entry level positions at jobs.
Yeah.
I worked at a juice bar, Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
Finally at a science museum. That was awesome.
yeah, and so we just kind of went out there with our guitars and our pets and our 2 bins of clothes, and then we just begged for shows. You know, 'cause we were just a baby band
Mhm.
with us and a drummer, and spent the next year or two just pounding it out at all the small clubs. Like, we were doing pay for play even.
Yeah, we did
Like,
pay for
we didn't
play
care.
for Whiskey Go-Go.
We'd save our pennies at our jobs and then go like hand the Whiskey a Go-Go $800 to play 30 minutes on a Friday night.
Were you paying?
That's how they do it.
Were you paying to like open up for so and so though, or was it
No.
literally like, here's
You literally have to hand
$800?
them the money.
They give you
They give you
tickets to sell. This is back in like 2002.
Yeah.
They give you like 80 tickets to sell at $10 each.
Sure.
And so the night of the show,
before you could load in.
before you go on stage, you're handing them, whether or not you sold all 80 tickets, you're handing them $800. Then
Yeah.
you have the privilege of getting up on stage and playing for 30 minutes amongst like 10
The
other
most
bands.
random assortment of
Right.
bands
There's
you
a
could
right.
ever
It's a
consider.
huge. It's usually a huge bill.
There's
And-
always like a death metal logo in there somewhere, you know,
Yeah.
like a death metal logo that you
I mean,
can't
it's
even.
not a show. It's a whole bunch of tiny shows that people beg their friends and family to
And
come
then-
to.
yeah.
And then one band
So,
comes
yeah,
in,
like-
the fans come in, and everybody
and then
leaves.
everybody leaves. And so then gradually we kind of wormed our way into an actual scene that was mostly based in East LA. It was Launchpad. And it was run by a guy we know named Mike TV, who lives in Austin now. But at the time, he was in a band called Get Set Go, and he would organize these shows at this place called Mr. T's Bowl, which was basically
bowling
a
alley with
converted
stage.
bowling alley in
Highland Park.
Highland Park. And we go out there. It's like way east,
North.
think East Hollywood, but even further. And it ended up being such a great community of bands. And it was the opposite of that whole like Sunset Strip, you know, Whiskey A Go-Go format. Because number one, everyone's basically just there to play rock and roll and believe in it. And there's no such thing as pay for play. Why would you ever do that? And
there was actual camaraderie.
There was camaraderie.
I was going to say more homegrown, down to earth, probably a little more real.
Yeah, and everyone's
the people that we met there are still our friends.
Yeah, and you know, everyone's always trying to like, you know, there was like positive competition. You know, it's like, oh, so and so had an awesome set. No, we're gonna do even better, and then you like kind of get ideas from each other. It was like an artistic community.
Well, and then we would try to like branch out. And if we had a show like in Hollywood, we would try and play with bands from that scene.
Right, because what happens is if you're part of a scene of collectively sort of like minded individuals, the crowd stays for the whole show. You know, instead of like, which is awesome when like the crowd stays for the whole show. And so we were lucky enough to find our community within a couple of years.
And then after the Launchpad scene, there was a Kiss or Kill scene. There's a documentary about
There's a documentary
we seem like the bad guys. But...
In the Kiss or Kill documentary, we're portrayed as the villains, which is
why are you portrayed as the villains?
Because we got a record deal and left.
Because we got a record deal and started touring the United States.
How dare you? Why would you do that?
Well, we always had ambitions to live in a van down by the river. You know? Like...
we wanted to eat nothing but Taco Bell and pizza
and sleep
and ramen
sleep on people's hardwood floors
and then wake up to random dogs licking your face.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's great. It's great. So we did that for like 5 years. but yeah, I think having that community. Yeah, you should go check out the.
It's called In Heaven There Is No Beer. It's on most of the streaming services.
It's a really good document of the mid 2000s Los Angeles like independent like sort of punk / alternative rock scene.
So who else was in that scene that is well known or was well known?
Our so Bang Sugar Bang, whose drummer ended up drumming with us for like 5 years. They were kind of notable in the scene. There was a band called the Randys. There was a band called Midway.
Letter Openers, Silver Needle.
I mean,
but the thing is, most of
New
them...
Maximum Donkey.
New Maximum Donkey was so good. They were a Kiss or
I
Kill
love that name, New Maximum.
Oh, they were so
Donkey.
good.
They had some really good songs. We've actually considered doing like an EP of some of the best of the songs from that scene because there were amazing songwriters and
just so many good artists. That I think what happens is like if you look at, you know, for example, we'd travel the country and you play a show and one of the other bands will hand you their CD or whatever. So we just amassed this crazy collection of like demo CDs, hundreds, right? Spools and spools, because it was like, I can't keep all these packages, so you just start putting them on spools. And of all of those, the number that have survived to the present day is less than 1%.
Yeah.
So even in like the highly competitive Los Angeles rock scene, you know, and with many of these other bands, like it'd be like so-and-so got a demo deal with Universal, or so-and-so got placed on this NBC show, or so-and-so, there was lots of success.
Yeah.
But the amount, I mean, it's just
there wasn't enough success to not grow up.
Right.
For most bands.
Yeah.
You kind of age out at some point.
So I think
you have to like get a real
you have to make a decision. It's like, am I going to have kids? Am I going to like live in a van? Am I going to, whatever. And so I think for us, like we were very lucky to have each other, and it's kind of like being in a band. We got
a lot of breaks too.
We got lucky too, but it's kind of like being in a band with a sibling almost. Not that I would like to think of you as my sibling because that's weird, but like sibling bands.
Sibling bands do last.
Sibling bands last.
They do.
You have a responsibility to a bandmate that's not just another human; it's a family member.
And you trust them to. It's almost like you trust them to finish your sentences and speak for you. like I just did. Just
Which you
No,
guys
but really, like,
I was gonna say you're doing that right now, right?
but
but
so,
there are times when I've wanted to quit, but I couldn't because he didn't want to quit,
right,
and
vice
vice
versa.
versa. You know, so like we
Yeah.
kind of drag each other through the hard parts.
I mean, I definitely don't want to quit now.
No, I'm
But-
okay for right now.
You know, take me back like 12 years, and I'm like, this is terrible.
They're
I can't do
just-
anything right. I can't write a song. You know,
I was gonna say
It's
it.
kind of,
From what I've heard, it's always seems like it's somewhere in the middle of someone's career where they're like, yeah, I'm gonna quit, or I'm
Third
done,
album.
or
third album.
yeah,
Yeah.
third album.
I was 27.
Well, also like I think
struggled to make it.
kind of what happens is like if you don't have that initial like some bands get lucky and they get like a one-hit wonder single on their first record, right? Guaranteed that they're going to disappear after that. And then some bands work their way up, and then by their second or third album, then they get like the sort of recognition of like, oh, a radio station wants to play your music, or you're hot, you're on the Billboard chart, or whatever.
Yes.
And so we kind of experienced that, 5-6 years into it. And then there's a pressure put on you at whatever level you're at. Doesn't matter if you're
No matter
major,
how little,
independent, whatever, to match or exceed that hit, the minor hit. And so for us, that hit was Because I'm Awesome. And so there was a ton of pressure on us at that point to write another Because I'm Awesome. And that resulted in us having this, like, questioning everything we do.
everything.
Oh, you guys should
I was
go.
like, you should write with these songwriters.
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, we can't write songs. And it's like this.
Like,
mental,
no, that was not quite good enough. Can you go write some more? Oh, yeah.
Hey, you should dress a little sexier. Like, it's like, oh my God, like, who am I? What am I doing?
What was when you think back? What's a direct example of going to when someone said you should go write with so and so, or coming up to you, Kelly, or Luis, saying, yeah, why don't you wear this instead? What's a direct example you can think
Oh,
of?
wow.
Oh man, I mean, like, we're in Universal Records in a meeting, and I mean, they literally just say, hey, you should wear skirts. Maybe try some like high heel boots, and your hair, do something more with your hair. Because I used to just wear like jeans and a t-shirt, Chuck Taylor's.
They wanted to glam her up.
And I was like, oh, that doesn't really feel comfortable. They're like, well, could you just try it? Or, like we would show up for a photo shoot, and there'd be like a person to help dress us, stylist. And, sometimes
Paid for by our own money, by the way.
that we would never get.
That we never see. It just
Well, we wouldn't pick the
it
people
goes against your
necessarily.
account.
And, somebody's picked out these clothes for you that you're supposed to put on and feel comfortable in, and we'd be like, nope. We would always show up with a suitcase.
Well,
with a lot of
yeah,
options.
we were a little bit, we were aware of it at the time, and I think we
And
stuck
we
to our
would play
guns.
along. We would play along to an extent,
But
but
then-
at some point, I was like, I'd rather not do it. I'm not gonna. I can't be fake, or why am I bothering?
The truth is the press shots, the music, the whatever, the media that has endured from that time was the stuff that wasn't embellished by outside forces.
Yeah.
I look back at like things that we may have put out, just a couple things here and there that were like at the time not really true to what we do, and it makes me cringe because I'm like, oh, well, that
I'm like,
is
oh,
not
look at us
authentic at
trying.
all. And we live in like an era of authenticity, so it's like people can see through that.
Yeah.
And of course, it's the if you look at like Dollyrots popular songs, those things are way at the bottom. So and then plus, I think the music industry at the time, I'm not really sure at this point because we kind of do our own thing, but at the time, especially, they were scared because it was a dying industry.
It was like streaming was becoming a thing.
Yeah, well, like
and
we
they didn't understand how to make money.
We turned in our cover of Brand New Key, which is a freaking hit. Like if you listen to it, it's like
I mean, it's been a hit a different way in the UK. It was a hit in the
Yeah,
United States.
so
like
that
originally,
song-
it's not our song.
I don't mean our song is a hit. I mean that song is a hit.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
we turned that in, and it was a perfectly good like pop punk version of that song, and that was rejected initially by a major label, and that the fact that they told us to go back and rework something like that, it's like, well, that's just what we do, so
we didn't really have the capacity to do much more either.
Right.
We were like, musically, this is our limit.
Yeah. Not musically trained, guys. So yeah, I think it would be different if we were coming up right now. Maybe, obviously, I think production has changed a lot in the last several years.
I mean, obviously, Luis records almost all of our stuff.
I was going to say, the stuff you do, I've had Innocent Tyler on the podcast.
Cool. Right on. That's great. Yeah.
That stuff is great. Yeah. I was going to say, everything, I know you've done, like, everything he's done pretty much, and it always sounds great.
Thanks. Yeah.
All those covers, pretty much, on the Down the Rabbit Hole. A lot of the most of that album.
Well, I think what happened was over the years, because it covers 20 years, right? So over the years, you get inspired by something and you want to just do something fun to put out as a Bandcamp free download for the fans, just to in between albums or whatever.
And I mean, like American Girl, Tom Petty song, Tom Petty passed away and we were pretty crushed. I mean, he wasn't
I remember I was driving our son to preschool, and like I dropped him off and I'm on the way home and I heard American Girl, like it was on Sirius or whatever. And I just thought to myself, you know what? We should cover this song because I know that she loves that song.
Yeah.
Like we should cover this song. And so I went home and literally just put together the whole thing in like 3 hours. And then I came out to her I was out in the backyard studio. I came inside. I was like, "Hey, can you sing American Girl real quick?"
Yes, I can sing that.
So that's basically what happened. And a lot of the content that's on Down the Rabbit Hole kind of was done like that, just on a lark.
Like that one we put up on Bandcamp. We donated all the money to Midnight Mission.
Yeah, we donated it to Midnight Mission. It's a really cool organization in LA.
We used to work with them in LA, or Skid Row.
It's like a homeless, they help homeless people.
Yeah, we used to play sets there when we lived there. It was really, really cool.
It was kind of most of those songs were born out of just like a, random sort of thing. So it's nice to see them all put together and kind of sound cohesive because that was not the intent.
No, and honestly, putting the album together, we had about 4 days to put the whole thing together, and we hadn't even really listened to it until we got them.
I was just like, I've got a folder of B-sides. Here we go.
Yeah.
So the first disc on Down the Rabbit Hole is the B-sides, and were these songs that you had demoed and needed to do like a better recording of them, or
most of them were songs that were recorded during the like actual album sessions.
Okay.
And then for one reason or another, because we have a firm belief in the album, quote unquote, as a format,
another dying thing,
and another dying breed. But we feel like you should be able to listen to a full length album front to back, and it should have a flow. And so that sort of flow, the orientation of each song to the next should make sense. And so, a song
sometimes a song just doesn't fit an album.
Yeah, Too Fun for My Health, for example, it could have been on Daydream Explosion, but it didn't fit the record because I think the reason was there was another song too similar to it.
Yeah, or something about.
Or maybe it was in like a key that was too similar.
Didn't work, or I can't remember.
You basically have three aspects of a song that can be, sort of considered when you're comparing it to another. It's like there's the speed, like the tempo, there's the key, and then there's the vibe in terms of like, is it swing feel? Is it straight ahead? Is it lots of breakdowns? Is it whatever?
Right? Is it slow? Is it fast?
Yeah, just stuff. Like. So if there's another song that is too similar to it, that almost seems like a twin, you take it out. Or you take one of them out.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, that's a crappy record.
Yeah. Yeah. So how many B-sides did you have to go through to kind of put this all together into a
You know-
flow. That must be hard. I would imagine that would be harder than actually doing a completely brand new album, because you've got all these pieces from all these different
All these different
cycles
years.
of your
Yeah.
career, and
Yep.
so they're all different. And it's like, how do you?
You know, the good thing about it is enough time has passed with so many of them that we can be kind of objective about it and not so precious.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past, like if you had asked me about one of these songs a year after they came out, I would have been like, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. But enough time has passed now that we can just be cool about it. The hardest part was finding the old hard drives.
Oh,
And then-
The
yeah.
actual files.
And then to get them mastered, you've got to find like a unmastered version of it. And then I'm like, I don't even have the software to open this. This is like Pro Tools 7. Like,
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
so old.
Yeah, it's just like, it's so there was a lot of like, I had to figure out how to open them in different sessions, and I didn't have the old plugin. So then finding, and so, yeah, so in a way, many of them were remixed,
Yeah.
but then they were all mastered professionally, not by me, because I don't want to take on that task.
I mean, when you have, let's say, as for an example, you said Pro Tools 7, how does
Yeah.
one open an old Pro
How
Tools
did you do
file
that?
if they don't? Is that something where like
Most-
a mastering house has?
No, most music making software is backwards compatible, right? So like if
You
you,
just sounded really nerdy.
I love it. I love nerdy things, so that's why
if
I'm
you have
asking.
a Pro Tools 7 file, it can be opened in Pro Tools 12 or whatever, right?
Okay.
But the
Okay.
problems arise when you have effects on
Yeah.
certain tracks.
Any kind of plug-in.
So a plugin, it may be a plugin whose format is no longer supported by the new software,
Or you don't
Right?
have that
So-
plug-in, and
or
so
you just plain don't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
it's like, a reverb. Maybe that particular kind of reverb just
Yeah.
isn't anywhere.
I mean, there are a
anymore.
couple songs where the entire guitar chain was just not non-existent. It was like X X X grayed out, and I was like, oh my god, do I have to like replay this whole thing? So, but it ended up working out great, and I think in the end, the final product, the final song,
Yeah.
the final versions of these songs are the best they can possibly be.
And they flow together.
I'm not.
It was surprising.
I don't have any misgivings about it. But then again, we're older and jaded now, so I have less energy to dedicate to giving a shit.
Yeah. Talking about fuck those Universal guys.
Man, I should
Oh, man.
I should just use that Oscar the Grouch reverb. That was good enough for the Ramones.
So yeah, everyone needs to go listen to Down the Rabbit Hole, or better yet, buy it. Of course, that's always the best way to support a band and Wicked cool records as well. And I know by the time this episode is out, you will be probably just about to hit the road in the UK with Bowling for Soup and Lit,
Boy.
which you
Yep.
said you're actually seeing them tonight.
Yeah.
No,
right?
We're doing a live trivia thing online.
So we're going to do rock trivia, I think.
Is
it
it rock?
I think it's
I
rock.
hope they put something in there I know more about.
Kelly knows everything about rock trivia now because she has a Serious XM show where she
Yeah.
has to describe every aspect of
It's
rock and
mostly older
historic.
rock and roll, though. If you ask me about pop punk, I know zero.
So we're doing this thing with Bowling for Soup and Lit. Jarrett kind of like commandeered this. Jarrett's the lead singer, Bowling for Soup, the man. And
He is the man.
but-
He's such a great guy.
The man.
he's so awesome, and they're basically family.
Yes.
In ye old 2009, when we were looking to get a good support slot out on the road, they initially said no to us, and then
Then we showed up at their show.
we showed up at their show at the El Rey.
We got in their dressing room.
Well,
with our
first
friend
we
and
went
our
across the street and drank too much
friend
vodka.
too much.
Then
And
we
then we showed up in their dressing room. We're
And we
like,
came
"Hey,
in like
we'll
a-
be so much
like
fun."
a cyclone of crazy energy.
And I was like, we totally ruined that for the future.
most bands would be like, who are these a-holes?
Right,
showing
who
up
the
and,
hell
like,
are these
ruining our backstage time? But luckily, it's Bowling for Soup.
Yeah, a couple days later, they're like, can you be in Birmingham, Alabama in 2 weeks?
And we were like, yep.
Yes.
We'll be
And
there.
that became a love story for the ages, because essentially they took us out on an East Coast run, then they took us on a Texas run, and then
they're like, why don't you just get your bus?
so then we lived on their bus for a couple of years as their opening band.
Louis and I slept in a junk bunk together with Sherman the dog.
Yep. We
For
shared
like years
we
of
shared
touring.
one bunk with a
One
dog.
bunk.
I was like, what's wrong with that bunk? It smells.
It smells terrible.
So that's kind of the way we cut our teeth, it's like
Sleeping with a dog.
at that point, and still to this time, like Bowling for Soup, but they kind of took us under their wing, and they've been our big brothers.
They have championed us. I mean, Chris Burney found us on MySpace
in 2007.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then
There's always been love, but coming from like a gritty punk rock scene in LA to be around and a part of like a real professional rock and roll situation,
learned a lot.
we learned how to really do it correctly. Yeah. And so we learned a lot. And so anytime Garrett's like, hey, you want to go to the UK with Lit? We're like, hell yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it, right?
Yeah. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, and I know Jarrett has learned, stuff from you guys as well. He was talking about the last time he was on the podcast here. It's probably been a couple months ago already, but he was talking about how he was learning he was talking about marketing stuff, and he was talking about how he's picked up that from you, Louis, and how.
Oh, wow.
Cool, I didn't know that.
yeah, he mentioned that. There's something about. He's like, he knows where like all of his T-shirt sales come from and like who bought it, how old they are, and he was just going on and on about how you've kind of down to a science on your marketing skills.
The thing is, like there's like analytics or whatever, and I don't want to look at it because it's antithetical to rock and roll to look at like numbers and spreadsheets.
I mean, I don't want to do our taxes.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like you have to know, especially now, how to put your energy out in the most efficient way possible.
Yes,
because we don't have time for other ones, right? Everything is like we've got kids. Like we've got the band, she's got her radio show, and
we do a lot of things.
We've got chickens.
You got chickens too?
We got chickens, man.
Man.
So it's like, I mean, between the chickens and the eggs and the kids and the squirrels and
what's the hardest thing about raising chickens?
Them
it's
getting
not hard.
Them getting eaten by
It's not
hawks.
hard?
Yeah, them escaping.
Okay.
Or getting
chicken murders.
Chicken murders. Dogs or coyotes, or I don't know what
There have
kind
been
of
a couple
wildlife.
It's been the hawks.
It's the hawks,
there was one dog attack, not our dog, but that chicken lived actually.
Yeah, but we have hawks, and so but it's
And I don't know what kind
There's
of reptiles you have either. I mean, I don't know if alligators go after chickens.
Alligators don't come in our yard. They're about a half mile away from our house.
Yeah,
okay.
We live right off the Hillsborough River.
Okay.
But no alligators in our yard. We've got a fence.
Although that'd be insane if we had alligators picking off the chickens.
That would be,
I mean,
how much more Florida can you get?
That is literally my fear. Anytime I step foot in Florida or anywhere in the South, I'm like, I'm gonna watch where I put my hand or go anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just because I have that
The
fear.
alligators are afraid of you. I'd be more nervous about like a pygmy rattlesnake because they can hide you.
Yeah.
Oh, great! You're giving him more to be afraid of, Kelly.
I've only ever seen 2 in my whole life. Don't worry.
Just a
that's
pygmy
good. I
rattlesnake,
mean,
no big deal.
You have lived
small and deadly.
All snakes are, even if the large ones, you don't always see them, and they can come out of nowhere.
So it's too late. Yeah. I stepped on a snake in our backyard.
There could be one in your shoe right now.
There could be.
On it.
In your pizza.
There could be one inside of the pizza.
Look, in this
inside of the crust.
Hole,
yeah, look at that.
A little bubble.
little baby one.
Little baby snake, and it'll worm its way down into your tummy.
None of that's as scary as losing the scorpion in our apartment.
Oh yeah, that happened once.
You have scorpions. Was that out in
LA.
out west? Okay, I was gonna say that had to have been
Yeah.
out
They moved
west.
from Florida to LA.
She brought her pet scorpion with her, and then
I don't know where it went.
one day it disappeared, and it was like, damn it! Now there's a scorpion.
Scorpion.
You
You're
did-
like asleep. You're
It was
staring at the
actually your pet. You had a pet scorpion.
Yeah. I had
Yeah.
a scorpion and a tarantula.
Yeah.
We moved from Florida. You ready for this? I was a biology student. You know, we had a scorpion, a tarantula,
Mhm.
a prairie dog, a 5-foot iguana, and a cat.
Yep.
And they were
Wow.
all in our car when we moved from Tampa to LA.
And they all survived.
Oh yeah, except the scorpion escaped.
He's
It-
right.
eventually-
We don't know what happened to the
I don't
scorpion.
even understand
but-
how that happened. I still,
He got out of his enclosure and paraded around our apartment.
He knew he was in
Embarrassing.
Florida, and he's like, I'm going to see what this place is all about. I hear wild things about it.
I was like, now I'm in an arid place that could be wild.
Yeah, maybe that's exactly what he
Good
thought.
environment for him.
We should have
Well-
brought him to Chicago. He'd still be roaming the streets of the Windy City.
Yes. Do you have dogs currently? Do you bring dogs on tour with
We
you?
have a dog.
We
Okay.
used to bring our dog on tour because he was perfect for it.
Yeah.
His name was Quito. He was like a terrier type mix.
Yeah.
The poundage, the weight limit for a plane to bring them into the cabin is 15 pounds, and he was exactly 15 pounds.
Oh man.
And so, and then we got him, we got him certified as a service dog.
Therapy
You know how
dog.
expensive it is to fly with dogs? It's like,
It costs
on
like
some airlines, it's $150 each way.
Wow.
It costs as much as a human to put your dog
We couldn't
underneath
afford that.
the thing. I'm like, does he get like beverage service
Yeah.
for $300?
Can I get
You know?
peanuts too? Could I get an
Yeah,
extra
can I have his
bag of
Coke?
peanuts
Yeah.
and a Diet Coke
Maybe
for my
a
dog?
hot blanket.
Yeah. He might
and
like
a hot
V8.
blanket?
Yeah. Yes. V8. No, so like we got him. We found some sham company
actually-
in Las Vegas to give us
Yeah.
an emotional
We actually
support
toured
medallion.
a rat first. We had a pet rat named Sniffy. And that was
Sniffy.
never
I love
problematic
that.
unless we were at JFK Airport.
In
Those,
New York.
the
They thought it
people
was
at TSA
like-
did not.
They don't.
'Cause you-
They
Yeah.
freaked out every time.
You would
Yeah.
think they would be cool with rats, considering you just see them on the street or
Yeah,
in the
right?
subway
You know-
all the time.
No, the response was sheer terror every time.
They thought it was a possum most of the
yeah,
time because
sometimes
she
I
was
said
so
it was
big.
a possum. Or
You see like this big ass tail hanging down. Oh, it's just my pet possum. Oh,
Was-
that's okay. A possum's okay. A rat would be terrible. Like, it's like,
Possums scare me more than rats. I'll just say that.
We
oh
do
yeah,
have a lot of those.
yeah. I
in
got bit by one of those recently. It was
You got
terrible.
bit by a
You did.
possum?
Don't try to. Well, there was like a video floating around on Instagram about how docile they are and how they don't carry rabies.
It
And
was playing
it was like
dead.
a
It was on our
wildlife guy, and it's like,
porch.
oh, possums, they're great. They eat all the bad things and blah blah.
They do.
Well, they do
all
eat a lot of the
ticks.
bugs we don't like. I know that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they're beneficial to the ecosystem. I get it. I have no animus towards like possums.
So you
right?
just saw one and you just thought,
no,
oh,
our
I'm going to
dog
go.
went after
Our
the
dog
possums,
scared
ventured
one on
onto
the
our
porch.
porch because they're outside. The cat has food out there, and the possum tried to eat food. Then the dog went crazy and like tried to attack the possum, and then the possum did the whole possum like
Dead.
play dead, and then they're like drooling and whatever. And I was like, oh, I know. I'll just pick up the
And then
possum
move it.
and move him so the dog doesn't get him. So I put on some like
I mean,
thick
the dog was
gardening
inside at
gloves
this point.
and went
didn't
and
have
tried
to
to
move it.
pick up.
And,
I moved him,
and-
and no,
And it woke
Eh,
up.
it woke up real fast, and it
I
bit
bet
me
it
really
did.
hard, right in the finger.
did it break did it break skin?
Oh yes, yeah, oh yeah. It's, I mean, it still
Fortunately, they don't carry rabies. Their body temperature is too low.
Supposedly.
So
hurts. I should have
That's-
probably gone straight to the rabies
no,
clinic.
you're fine.
It was like an episode of House. They're trying to figure out like what happened to you. You got bit by a possum in 2022. It's like
Take a shot of whiskey and you'll be okay.
it'll be
I
fine.
think
It's like the
that's what he
Civil
did,
War.
honestly.
No, I did do that. That hurt. I poured some on the wound, and then like a Civil War soldier's bit my belt.
If it burns, it means it's working.
That's what they say.
It's healing. That's what
Yeah.
that means.
Don't pick up a possum.
No,
But don't do it, kids.
maybe with a shovel.
Don't do it.
Yeah, if you can get them on the shovel. So.
Yeah. Well, if they're playing dead,
I
Don't
once
pick up a possum.
I went to my grandparents' house one night a couple of years ago, and the garage door was closed up, which isn't normal. They usually have it open and everything. And when I went through the garage, I saw that there was some like rat traps placed around. So I went inside. I asked my grandpa, "What's going on with you got a rat or a mouse in your garage?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got a big rat." So
Oh no.
I went in there, and because I saw one of the traps had been sprung, but there was nothing in it. And so I look behind their, I'm looking all over the garage looking for where this thing could be. And I look behind their garbage cans. Lo and behold, I'm like, I see something, and I see a tail first, and it's a good-sized tail, and then I see the rest of it. And I said, "Papa, this is not a rat. This is a baby possum." And yeah, it was a baby possum, and
He's looking for its mom.
yeah, it did not want to leave that garage, because at that point we opened up the overhead door and we're trying to get it out, and I ended up having to take a broom and like push him out of the garage, and he kept hissing at me like a cat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
He's
scary.
like,
It's scary. The noises are
Their teeth are very
yeah,
sharp and pointy.
and
it's like
he did.
Nosferatu or something.
The thing did not, it just did not want to leave the garage, and it finally did. And I just thought it was the funniest thing. My grandpa's like, "Yeah, it's a rat." And I'm like, "How could you think that's a rat?" It's like, that's much
Everything's
bigger
a
than
rat.
a rat. Yeah.
Good thing he didn't work for TSA in New York, because he would have identified that rat real quick.
Yes, he would have. Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, this has been so much fun. Thank
you.
you. Thank you
fun.
both, Kelly and Luis. Is it
Right
Luis
on.
or Luis? I mean,
I
go
wasn't
by
sure.
both.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, no, it's good either way.
Cool. Well, it's been a
And
blast.
Jacques,
Yes.
thank you for having us. I'm glad that it
Of
worked
course.
out.
Yeah, me too.
We weren't in person. I feel like we were anyway. So
Yeah.
it's good.
And with it being, that the Chicago date was your first day of tour. As you said, first day of tour is always, especially when you're starting not at home. You're starting, and that's usually the case for any tour. Usually you're not starting where you live.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to fly out there most times and get settled, and it's like, okay, where do we pick up our bus or bandwagon or wherever the hell?
Yeah.
Gotta-
The kids didn't remember what touring was. It had been 2 years.
Yeah, like our daughter's 5. She had never remembered being on a
She didn't
plane
remember
or a
flying on
hotel.
an
And I'm like, you
Well-
did this for so long. That to her, so long is like, being a year old, you don't
And
remember that.
she doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't remember. So it was a good thing you guys got to Chicago a day before to kind of.
Oh, yeah. That was
know.
by design for sure.
We had to
Yeah.
rehearse.
Well, we didn't
hadn't
even-
seen our drummer. in a
We didn't
long
even know
time.
we were going to remember how to do it. To be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, the pandemic kind of did that to all of us on so many different things. Like, do I remember how to do this? I don't know.
It's like riding a bike, except the bike's all rusted out from being out in the rain for a couple of years.
Yeah, and maybe the wheels a little bent.
Like the rubber got all decayed. And stuff.
Yeah, it's a little dry rotted. Right, the
Yeah.
rubber's cracking on the tire. Yeah, all that. So,
It ended up being a great tour, though.
oh, good.
It was
I'm
awesome.
glad to hear that. So, if you're over in the UK, you can find Dollyrots on tour with Bowling for Soup and Lit. I know some of those shows are sold out, but I know not all of them are.
Yeah.
So
Get your tickets.
And we like
fast.
to remind those people over in the UK that their entire country, we usually drive that far in like a day or two, so they
Right.
could totally come to
UK
any
is
show.
like the size of Texas, and it's like, oh, you're all the way in Birmingham. I'm in Manchester. It's like you're 40 kilometers
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, you're 30 minutes, 45 minutes away or whatever.
They act
And
like
it's
they're going from like New York to Nashville. It's like no.
it just goes to show you the cultural differences between
Yeah.
Americans
appreciate that.
can be so willing to travel so far. It's like, oh, 5 hours? That's nothing. We're like,
That's
we
nothing. I'll
can
just
do
go
that.
there.
I'll just,
Turn around, drive. There are
Yeah.
people that do
I was
that.
gonna say there
There
will
are.
be people that go to every single show in the UK.
Yeah, we are very lucky to have people that will just follow like half of our tour,
It's
or all of our tour.
Yeah.
Like it's
That's
really
In the
awesome.
cool.
US too. Roger
Yeah,
the
like-
Rabbit, he came to like 6 shows. This
Yeah,
year.
it's
Yeah.
like
Wow.
they're like. I mean, it's not like Deadhead level, but it's definitely there are cultists that we love.
It's maybe halfway there,
Yeah, we'll get there eventually. Give us another 20 years.
Yeah. Hey, why not? By 40 years, I'm sure you'll have that whole Deadhead.
It'll be
thing
great.
going
We'll
on.
have this down, and
the children
by
will
40
replace
years.
us. We'll just be in the crowd hanging out.
Yeah, your
on the side
kids
of
will
the
be
stage.
playing Dollyrots songs, and
That's
you'll
the
just
idea.
they'll be your
Oh, and I
replacements.
want to mention we're planning dates for the U.S. for later in the year. So
We'll be
Right.
doing East Coast, California, and Texas.
yeah, so between June, July, we will for sure end up on the West Coast and the East Coast in some capacity. It's all getting worked out right now.
Yeah,
So,
and
we'll have the kids with us. So
awesome, and it's so much easier to divide the regions up that way. To just like how you just kind of finished doing. It was mostly the Midwest. And then doing a California run, because then you're not gone for a month.
Yeah, we try to keep it at like 2 weeks, 10 days to 14 days.
2 weeks is good.
With the kids.
Yeah, because by that point we're ready to come back home and like go to a water park.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe drive to Disney World or something, or Universal.
Or maybe sleep for 3 days straight while they stay at the grandparents'.
Now that would be me. That's what I would be doing.
Takeout and sleeping for one weekend.
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti.
Can't get spaghetti on tour.
I love spaghetti.
Thank you so much, Jacques.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah,
have a great rest of your day, and have fun with Bowling for Soup and Lit.
Right on, dude.
Hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yes, I hope so too. All right.
Cool.
Bye.
See ya.
All right. Well, thank you so much again to both Kelly and Luis of the Dollyrots for being on Pop Punk and Pizza. Make sure that you go stream, or better yet, download, or not download. Well, I suppose you could find a download for it, but buy a physical copy of Down the Rabbit Hole, which is their latest release of B-sides and cover songs. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised on how much you enjoy it, because I feel like B-sides can kind of get a bad rap when really B-sides are actually they're really just awesome songs that no one has heard yet. At least that's what I think of when I hear B-sides. So, and make sure also, while you're following the Dollyrots everywhere on social media, you follow Pop Punk and Pizza as well. You can find us on all socials at Pop Punk Pizza Pod. Follow us, subscribe to us wherever it is that you listen to your podcasts. And you can also buy merch at poppunkpizzapod.com. Use that promo code POPPUNK to get $2 off your order. And I will talk with you the next time.
Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya.